Hello, underneath the hat. I am your host, author, educator, entrepreneur, Cherie Simmons, and welcome to Underneath the Hat, Season 4, Speak Over Yourself. As you can see, I am definitely in the Christmas spirit. My little ugly sweater says, express your elf. Okay. So again, welcome to Underneath the Hat Podcast, Season 4, Speak Over Yourself. Make sure you subscribe and like on YouTube at Underneath the Hat Podcast. Check us out on all podcast platforms, Anchor, Overcast, Spotify, Apple, Google, Breaker, and Pocket Cast. Also, make sure to please share the video, be engaged, post questions and comments. You can sew into the session through Cash App at $YLAAT 2017 or Zelle at underneath the hat at gmail.com. And since we're just a few days from Christmas, when you see this, it will be Christmas Eve. Get you some stocking stuffers or some New Year's Day 2023 reading. So go to Amazon or wherever books are sold and type in my name, and you should find my 2 books, Underneath the Hat, and it's that size for a reason. All right. So as I have stated in previous episodes, that Underneath the Hat Podcast is slowly coming to an end. So I'm starting to wrap up all of my last episodes. The final episode will air on March 18th, 2023. And so I decided to let you all in even more than you are in my life and let you know a little bit more about me through one of my favorite things, which is music. And so every episode, sorry, that's me jingling. See, even my shirt got music on it. So the last couple of episodes, I've been sharing some of my favorite songs and sharing how they encourage me and help me to speak over myself. And so last week was rough. I didn't get to come before you, but I'm here this week, and this will be the last hot episode of 2022. I'll come back and be with you on January 7th. And so the 7th. Yep. January 7th. So this will be the last episode of 2022. But let's get started. So one of my favorite artists that I love is Fantasia. Okay. And she just reminds me so much of Patti LaBelle and her performance, and I love all her songs. And so there's one song that she actually got notoriety about it because she went live on Instagram because she was on the road with her background singers, and one of her musicians wrote the song, and it's called Necessary. And then she sang it again on it wasn't Sing Station. It was one of the BET shows, gospel shows. And this song just speaks to me and brings me to tears every time I hear it or sing it. And it says, I am who I am today because God used all my mistakes. That in itself, okay, speaks volumes. Every last one of us have made mistakes. Whether we thought it was a mistake going in, whether it surprised us by becoming a mistake, we've all made mistakes. And so to know that the person that I serve can use those mistakes to make me who I am, it makes you reflect on all of the things that have happened to you that went wrong, and then it causes you to look at the lesson in them. And if you've been following me throughout these 4 years of Underneath the Head podcast, one season I talked about blessings and lessons. And so to know that the mistake that I made is what God used in order to teach me a lesson or to make me who I am is amazing to me, because I've made some mistakes. They didn't always start out as what I thought was going to be mistakes. He ended up being them. And most of them were mistakes because I didn't listen to him. And so to know that he used my mistakes in order to make me better and to make me who I am, to give me the tough skin that I have, to give me the personality that I have, to allow for me to be able to speak my mind now, because I have reflected and seen the error of my ways, I'll say, and decided that I wanted to do better. Because we all know people who make mistakes and they keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing but expecting different results. And so we have some people who don't reflect. They don't think about, why did this happen? What did I do? What did the other person do? What could I have done differently? And a lot of stuff we could avoid if we would just reflect on what happened and fix it. I shared a year or two ago in that I used to have a fear when I was growing up that because God was allowing me to do so much of the stuff that I wanted to do so quickly, that I thought that I was going to die young. And God told me one day, he was like, no, it's because you listen to me. You do what I tell you to do the first time. And for those of you who have kids, you know you have one or two of them that no matter what you tell them, and how many times they do the same thing over and over and over again, they keep doing it. And you know, and you have told them, I'm sure, if you would just stop doing it and do something different, then you would get different results. And so I have learned that, yes, I'm going to make mistakes because nobody's perfect. And I have learned to reflect on what I've done in order to make sure I don't do it again, learn the lesson, get the blessing from the mistake, and move on. And my life has been not without obstacles, not without trials and tribulations, but it's been easier for me because I don't spend so much time making the same mistakes over and over and over again. And so that line right there speaks to me. It says he worked them for my good like no one else ever could. So he takes those mistakes and uses them and works them for my good. This podcast in itself came from a mistake. It came from the book I wrote, which is a realistic fiction version of my life as a former first lady. And there were mistakes that I made in that relationship. Hell, some people think it was a mistake for me to even marry the man, okay? But still there were mistakes. And from the mistakes that I made during my time as a first lady, I was able to learn from them and then branch out into a radio show called Underneath the Hat, and now this podcast called Underneath the Hat, where I am opening up. Somebody told me I can't hold water, which is shocking for me because I really can. I don't even like to talk this much. Like the fact that I tell as much as I have in my 2 books about me is nobody but God. And so I know that me not holding water is really helping somebody else who's drowning. Love that. Me not holding my water is releasing my hands to help somebody that's drowning. Girl, that's a message right there. Glory to God. Oh my God. So sometimes you telling your story is releasing your hands from holding all your stuff in and holding all your stuff up to make everybody think that everything is okay, so that you can use your hands to help somebody else who's drowning. So now I can pull some of that water off of somebody else who feels like they're suffering in silence and can't do it by themselves or feel like they're all alone. So no, I'm not going to hold water. I'm done holding water because my testimony is somebody's breakthrough. And I've had enough people already to tell me that my book or books have helped them. Me speaking about my infertility, me speaking about my 2 marriages and what I learned from them have helped them. And so I'm going to continue to not hold water because now I can use my hands to help somebody else swim that's drowning. Glory. Oh my God. Look at God. Woo. So those are the only lyrics to the song. I am who I am today because God used my mistakes. He worked them for my good like no one else ever could. And then it says, why? Because it was necessary. It was necessary that God took my mistakes and worked them for my good like no one else ever could. It was necessary for me to drown sometimes and to feel like I was by myself in order to hear his voice and not somebody else's. And for him to help teach me how to swim, which is such a lesson all in itself. Now, for those melanated folks, swimming was not at the top of our list of things to learn how to do as children. And so a lot of us don't like to swim for whatever reason it may be, feel water, don't want to get your hair wet, whatever it is. But most of us do not know how to swim. I did not know how to swim. And so, but I like getting in the water. Like I'm a Cancer, so I'm a water person anyway. I like going to the beach. Well, not really. I like getting into the ocean. I've done crazy, outlandish water sports and couldn't swim a lick. Okay. So the fact that I had to teach myself how to swim, and how did I do that? By watching other people. I'm very observant. I get quiet. I get my zone. I watch. And so I was able to teach myself how to swim. I went to maybe 1 or 2 swim classes. That didn't last long. And I just learned by watching other people. Picking up on the techniques, copying what I see them do. And I'm able to float. I'm able to get from one end of the pool to the next. I'm able to hold my breath underwater for a long period of time. I can float on my back and on my front. I was good at floating. I call it the dead person's float. I was good at floating on my face, but I could not grasp the concept of gravity, just letting go and being still to float on my back. And now that is my favorite position in the water, is to float on my back, because you get to feel the sun on your face. And I just close my eyes and I'm there. It's the most peaceful and tranquil position for me in the water. But I had to teach myself how to swim. And so you have people out there who metaphorically are drowning and don't know what to do. And so my word for you today is to realize that sometimes the drown is necessary. Sometimes you're going to have to wade some water. Sometimes you're going to have to go under. And it may seem like you can't make it out, but I'm here to tell you it's necessary. and you will make it out, because you have people like me who can't hold water. And that's so that we can give you a helping hand and help get you to shore so that you don't have to drown anymore. You are not by yourself. You are not by yourself. You are not the first person to go through what you're going through. You won't be the first person to make it out and survive. You won't be the last person. I just ask that everybody, just like God took our mistakes and used them for good, that you do the same thing for somebody else. Take the mistakes you made, take the lessons you learned from it, and sow into somebody else. Because everybody knows how it feels to feel alone. And it's a feeling I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. And because I know that, I'm going to do everything I can to touch the lives of somebody by giving back my hands to help them from drowning. Why? Because it's necessary. It's necessary. So I want to conclude this last episode of Underneath the Head podcast of 2022 by wishing you all the best happy holidays, the best happy new year. I pray that 2023 is the best year of your life. That is my prayer, that 2023 is the best year of your life, because I can tell you what, it's going to be the best year of mine. Why? Because I'm going to make it so. So again, thank you all so much for tuning in with me every Saturday on the Underneath the Hat podcast on YouTube, and also on all podcast platforms: Anchor, Overcast, Spotify, Apple, Google, Breaker, and Pocket Cast. Also, thank you for sharing it. Continue to share the videos and sow into it and post questions. Thank you for those that have bought my books thus far. Those that haven't, grab them. They're good. And again, I want to wish all of you a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas, a happy Kwanzaa, a happy Hanukkah. Just be safe out there. Continue to be you and speak over yourself and love yourself first. And enjoy the new year. And as I always end, remember, regardless of the year, regardless of the holiday, remember to take care of yourself underneath the hat. I will see you next year in 2023. God bless.